Welcome to Thoughts on Change, where we explore the mindsets and moves that make change feel less like a battle and more like a breakthrough. I'm your host, Kelly Mallory. How many of you have started on an improvement project or implementation only to meet resistors? Or how many of you have been in change management training where they talk about the resistors and the laggards? And how many of you, when talking to a peer or your leader about resistance to change, have you talked about a person specifically as a resistor? I've done this too. My initial training in change management and continuous improvement was focused on this labeling of resistors and laggards, on those who were slow to adopt change or those who got in our way. And I would often talk to my peers and my boss about specific individuals who were causing me problems with their resistance. In these conversations, I would call them resistors or resistant to change. Now, on the surface, it doesn't seem like a big deal. I mean, they're resisting the change, so why is it a bad thing to say they are and call them resistors? Here's the thing: it might not seem like a big deal to call somebody that in your mind to your peers or to your boss. But in fact, that simple act of calling somebody a resistor, even just to yourself, changes how you think about that person, which changes how you interact with them. Because when you call them a resistor, you strip them of their humanity. So, about 7 or so years ago, I found myself facing this very issue. I was working in a large manufacturing factory and focusing on improving flow in a milling area. Before I even went to the floor to see what current state was and talk to the operators, I was warned about a gentleman named Mike. Now, Mike had a reputation for being really resistant to change and having strong opinions about how everything should be done. So I went to the floor armed with this knowledge and the warning from my colleagues. I started immediately on the aggressive and talked about how important this change was and why he needed to get on board. And he immediately then got defensive and told me every reason it wouldn't work and complained that he's never consulted and that I had no idea what I was talking about. And you know what? He was right. I didn't have any idea. I had observed the process before and saw the opportunity to improve flow, but I had no idea about his experiences with the process. And because I came in labeling and judging Mike as a resistor, I armored up, ready to fight. And he saw me in my battle gear and put his armor on as well. We never really got past this for the 4 years I worked there, and I still regret it and the way that I thought about him. Now, let's face facts. Change is incredibly hard and uncomfortable for everyone. And our jobs as change agents and leaders is to support and guide people through this really difficult process. And when we are treating people like resistors or laggards, it is not helping them through the difficulty. In fact, it makes it much worse. These people don't need our judgment in these moments, they need our empathy and compassion. But when we label people as resistors or laggers, we are automatically moving into a judgmental mindset. And when we think about people in this context, we cannot help but have that thought seep into our actions. When we interact with somebody we judge as a resistor, our attitude changes from one of wanting to help another human being to wanting to push through the resistor. This comes out in our body language, our tone, and the words we use. And then this really interesting thing happens. Our attitude toward the resistor, that they're a pain and in our way, becomes contagious to that person. And they start to see us as a pain and in their way. Have you ever had this experience where the mood of another person you were interacting with was contagious for you? And you started to feel the same way as them, even if you didn't have the same experience they did to get them in that mood in the first place? This is that contagion effect. So when we are thinking of someone as a resistor, as a thing in our way, the other person will slowly start to feel that we are in their way, and they will end up digging their heels in and resisting even harder. So here's the shift you can make today from armoring up to fight resistors to breaking through to see their humanity and really connecting with them and learning about their concerns with empathy and compassion. Stop calling people resistors or laggards or whatever other term you might have for them. Instead, call them by their name and honor the difficulty in changing. So, for example, you could say, Jim seems to be having a hard time with this change. Can you feel the difference in that compared to like Jim as a resistor? This simple shift has a massive ripple effect with your relationships with those you're supporting through change. And in the end, sustaining change is about you supporting them through it, not pushing them through it. Are you ready to try this for yourself? Here are your next steps to practice this shift. First, try to recognize when you are labeling somebody as a resistor, even if you are not explicitly saying it. Next, stop using the terms resistor or laggard or antibody to describe people. And then last, shift your thinking from pushing people through change to supporting them. Let me know how it goes and what you learn. Changing our default thinking is really difficult, but it has a massive impact on our ability to influence effective change. And this is the way that we impact business results and cultures. This is exactly the work that I do with continuous improvement practitioners and change agents in my program, the Change Odyssey. This transformational journey takes change agents across 3 arcs. Participants will explore how their inner world shapes their leadership, like we've talked about today, and will practice the 6 core traits of a change leader and develop the ability to work with, not against, resistance, uncertainty, and fear. There are still a few spots open for this next Odyssey that starts in October. If you'd like to learn more and apply, please visit kellymallory.com/change odyssey. And if you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe. And if you want to learn more about how I can help shift your change leadership, visit my website at kellymallory.com or email me at kelly@kellymallory.com. Here's to less battle and more breakthrough, one mindset shift at a time. Thanks for watching.